Leader, on the Jobs Act, do you think that the Jobs Act will be more or less successful than the Recovery Act at creating jobs? And secondly, what do you think are the most significant differences between the Jobs Act and the Recovery Act?
Well, let me just say, as a matter of fact, that the Recovery Act saved millions of jobs, or saved or created millions of jobs for our economy. Without the Recovery Act and accompanying federal interventions, whether from the Fed or cash for clunkers or other initiatives, the unemployment rate last year at the time of the election would have been 14.5%, not 9.5%. But if you're a voter and you don't have a job, that doesn't mean anything to you, and that's right, because the 9.5% is too high. But we were near a depression under the Bush economic policies. We were near a depression. We were in a meltdown of our fiscal situation, and we had deep, deep deficits. And now we have to dig out of that. So I believe that the recovery package was a success in terms of job creation. It wasn't fully appreciated, but the fact is that it made a big difference.
It's now been 1 year since the midterm elections.
Yeah.
I suppose that probably every day for the last year you fought to regain the majority. I wanted to ask, how do you think that the Democrats are doing, and there's 1 year left, you think you'll be able to take back the House?
Well, I would not have wanted, I'm a temporal marker. I always place things in time. Clock is ticking, that. But I didn't want to bring up the subject of politics, but since you did, yes, it is exactly the midway point between last year's election and this year. And in over 300 days that the Republicans have been in power, they have not they have not created jobs for the American people. And that is, I think, the measure that we want to compare our first 300 days. 1 week and 1 day after the president made his inaugural address, 1 week and 1 day, we passed the Recovery Act in the House. In a few weeks, it was in the Senate, saving or creating millions of jobs for the American people. 1 week and 1 day. Here we are over 300 days, no such legislation. From a policy standpoint, I think it's really important to know that President Obama was a job creator from day one. Now, was the ditch that we were in so deep that when you're talking to people and they still don't have a job, that's any consolation to them? No. But I'll tell you this, if President Obama and the congressional Democrats had not acted, we would be at 15% unemployment. Again, no consolation to those without a job, but an important point to make. This was a cloud that was over the last election because we didn't, it was too, if you don't have a job, you don't hear somebody say it could be worse, right? But it could be.